Hi, welcome back to another episode of Nobody's Doing It Right. Today's episode is going to be about the concept of success and how to feel like you are able to get the things you want, to achieve what you want to achieve. And this is just based on my own experience, my own process of things, the things I've learned from my past successes and what I have to remind myself of now because I lose sight of it a lot. And that is, in order to feel like you are capable of achieving whatever it is you want to achieve, you have to surround yourself with images of others who have achieved it to show yourself that it is possible. I think sometimes we can get so caught up in the idea that, I think this stems from a self-worth issue, right? But the idea that if it's something that I want, then it must not be worthwhile, it must not be good, and it must not be possible because, this deep down belief is telling you, I'm just not good. I'm awful. I'm not good enough. Everything I do is wrong or invalid or whatever. So naturally, if I have a desire, then it must be wrong, fallible, not good enough, not possible, whatever narrative pops up in your mind. You might have that limiting belief. I have that a lot. I have had it. I've struggled with it a lot. I'm better now. But I realized that the one tool that I've used in the past, and I have to now force myself to remember to use in the present, is to surround myself with images of people who have done what I want to do before. And obviously, the people who have done the things you want to do, the way you do it is not going to be exactly the same, right? It's not going to end up looking exactly the same as what they did and how they did it. So it's not about attaching to the outcome. It's not about saying, oh, okay, someone's done it, so I'm going to do it the exact same way. And if they've done it this way, then I have to do it that way. And that's what it's going to look like when I do it. No. If we attach too much to the outcome, to this expectation of what it's supposed to look like or what we think it's supposed to look like, we lose sight of our unique path, our unique journey, and the way we do things, the way we organically, naturally show up in life. We still have to stay authentic to ourselves. We still have to stay on a path that is true to us. So that means then that we have to navigate it in a way that's intuitive. It does not mean following a script that someone else has, right? Or a blueprint that they've laid out. It's about seeing the potential reflected through them, the fact that they've done it, showing that it is possible in this world to do something like that, and attempting it, but in your own way, with the simple recognition that, okay, there is a possibility. It's not a promise, and it's not a blueprint that you have to follow step by step. It's a possibility. So it's possible. So that helps you remove any of the narrative of, oh, this isn't even possible, so there's no point even trying. By showing yourself images of people, circumstances, whatever, that reflect that this thing has happened before, it has been possible, you immediately show yourself that, okay, so if it's possible, then that means me taking a step towards it, me making the effort is not stupid. It's not pointless because it is possible. Now, obviously, with that comes other self-limiting beliefs about, well, I'm not good enough, so I'm not going to even try because I know already I'm going to fail, I'm going to suck, and I'm not going to do it right, or whatever. So that's another part of it that comes into play once you get past the hurdle of, okay, is it even possible? Then it's about, okay, it's possible, I've seen people do it, but I'm not one of those people that can do that thing. I can't do it that way. This is why it's so important to diversify the examples you use to prove it to yourself. If you are somebody who wants to become, I don't know, a video creator online, as an example, right? If you are only looking at specific people who do this kind of work, who create these things, who have achieved this, their example is very limited and small, you're going to think that that's the only way that it is possible. You're going to convince yourself of that because that's all you're showing yourself. That's all you're exposing to yourself. And so you'll think, well, I'm not like this person. I don't have that same lifestyle. Maybe deep down you realize you don't even want that specific kind of video creation lifestyle. And yet all you're showing yourself is that. So you're going to think that's the only way to do it. So because you feel like, oh, well, it's not even aligned with me, deep down you recognize that, you're going to think, well, there's no point of me even trying. This is just something for me to watch and observe objectively or outside of it, not actually be in it myself. This is why it's so important to diversify your examples, and why I think it's so important for those of us who are doing this kind of, whatever it is that we're doing, whatever journey we're on, to share it. because then we become an example for somebody else that might need it. And obviously, I'm not saying that everyone has to be out there and putting their business out into the world. Of course not. If you feel called to it, do it. But this is why I love the internet. Why I love the fact that people are so willing to share themselves. It's taken me years to feel comfortable doing that. Obviously, I only started doing it when I entered my 30s in any way that feels meaningful to me. But I'm so grateful for the people that have done it before me, because they helped me on my path. And I'm now trying to do the same thing for other people while still needing to do this for myself, right? Like still needing to look at examples online of people that have done or are doing what I want, and looking at it and being like, okay, yeah, it is possible. And it's not just possible for one specific kind of person, because of course, privilege plays a part in a lot of the things that we want to achieve, right? There are some people out there who are inherently more privileged than other people. And so it's easier for them to get access to things. So yes, if you only look at people like that, it's going to feel like, well, it's out of reach for me because it's only certain kinds of people that can have this. And the society is not set up to, accommodate for everyone in certain cases, right? It can be discriminatory to certain people. That's why trying to find as much diversity in the examples out there is so important. And why, again, I love when so many different kinds of people share their experiences and the way they do things and their process, because it really creates so much depth and breadth to the possibility of how to do things. This could apply to anything. It could apply to your creative work. It could apply to your personal growth. It could apply to your fitness routine. It could apply to your relationships, like whatever it is, right? Don't limit yourself to only looking at one perspective, one thought process, one lifestyle, because for you, your process is going to be so unique to get to where you want to get to, right? You just need to know that it's possible, and it's possible close to who you are and what you want. And I think that really benefits your ability to now attempt to do it, to take action, which is the final step in this process. You have to first believe that it's possible, then believe that it's possible for somebody like you in some way, similar to you, and then you have to take action. And the action, I think, can only truly come from a place of realizing that it is possible, right? So you need those two steps beforehand. But then you actually have to take action, and that action can obviously be very scary and uncomfortable, but it's about pushing through it and using those examples that you find as a way to motivate you, to encourage you, because you're seeing people do, you've seen someone do it. Hold on to that. It's a tangible example. It's tangible proof that it is possible for someone like you, and all you really have to do is take the action. Not the exact same action as somebody else who you see online or see anywhere who has done it. Don't do it exactly like them. Step into the essence of it. Step into the vibe of that. Not the exact shoes of that person. Not exactly the way they do it, right? Yes, you can use their blueprint in a way, right? You can start it in the way they did and see how you feel about it. But let yourself pivot. Let yourself change direction when necessary so that it feels more authentic to you. But hold on to those examples. Use those examples as a reference, as proof, as evidence that it is something you can do. And of course, this is going to be different for everybody. I'm sure not everyone is going to really, understand this, or it's not going to resonate with everybody. But those who are like me, who experience this, hurdle on their path of not believing that something that they want is possible, I'm here to tell you from my own experience, from what's worked for me. The moment I show myself an example and I cultivate, I compile a variety of examples in my life to prove it to me, and I hold on to them and I refer to them regularly, and I look to them as, I don't want to say like idol. I'm not trying to idolize these people. I'm just using them as like a proof to look back on or to look at and say, okay, but they've done it. So it is possible, because it can be so easy to lose sight of the possibility when you're on the path, because obviously it can take a long time. It's a slow, steady process, and you have to stay consistent. And this applies to anything in life that you want to achieve, right? Sometimes things come faster than other things, there's a nuance to this, but for the most part, anything worthwhile, anything that's for you, anything that requires skill, and requires you to learn and grow, it's going to take time, and it's going to take consistency. So when you're on that path and it is slow and it is steady and it is a grind, and it's still aligned with you, it still feels enjoyable to an extent, right? But it's not easy. There are difficulties to it. When you're on that path and you have to be consistent and disciplined, you need to have something to look to remind you that you're on this because you believe that it is possible. For me, I lose sight of that often. That's why I need tangible examples in my life in some way. Sometimes it is evidence from my own past behavior, right? I keep a lot of journals. A lot of those journals hold the proof that I need that I have been able to succeed and do things in the past that I can use now. I look back at those things and I say, okay, I did it before, I can do it again. Other things are following people online on different platforms that I want to, succeed at or whatever. And I see them doing exactly what I want. I never thought it was possible before, but I found them and they're doing it and I want to do that. And so I can see it as a possibility now. I look at their accounts. I look at what they're doing. I just remember that they exist. So if they exist, I can also exist in that same way. Not the exact same way, of course, in different ways, but you know what I mean? Like if they can exist doing what I want, I can exist to do the same thing that I want. Providing proof for yourself is so valuable and I forget it. So I wanted to make this podcast episode to remind anyone who needs it, right? This could be in a journal. It could be in a vision board. Anything that you can use to refer to remind you that your dreams are not silly, they're not trivial, they're not impossible. They exist. Others have done it. Others similar to you have done it. So they are possible, right? And, of course, maybe there are many things that have not been done before. You might be attempting something that you cannot find any evidence of. Maybe your journey is to become that evidence. Maybe that's your path. Maybe that's what you need to do for other people. Maybe that's your purpose, right? I'm just giving examples here, obviously. That can feel like a lot of pressure too. So, but find something close to evidence that you can find, right? If someone's done something similar to that, but maybe you can't find the exact same thing, use whatever you can, whatever feels close enough to just give you that little boost of evidence, that little boost of, okay, it does exist. It is possible. Let me just try it now. Let me take a step in that direction. And hopefully that helps and that keeps you motivated and that keeps you feeling like what you're doing is not pointless. Because if you feel called to it, if it keeps calling to you, keeps beckoning, then there's something there for you. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully this encourages you to find that evidence that you need to prove to yourself that it is possible. Thank you for listening. If you want to watch any of my other content, read any of my content, I have a Substack where I write about these topics, and you can follow me on my social media, my Instagram, my TikTok. I also offer one-to-one calls if you want to talk about these topics in more detail with me. Other than that, I'll be back again soon with another episode.